Howdy folks, and welcome back to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're going to be making country fried steak. My mother's favorite thing in the whole world to do was go out and eat, and her absolute favorite meal was country fried steak. But if you go in a restaurant nowadays, you're not going to get the country fried steak that my mama loved. You're going to get a deep fried, greasy, gristly piece of sirloin steak. That's not how it's supposed to be. So today I'm going to show you how to make the country fried steak that my mama loved. We're going to start with some ground round. You can also use ground sirloin. You just want a really lean ground beef. And we're going to bread that in some flour. I've got about a cup here. We may need a little more by the time we finish with the gravy. And it does not matter what kind of flour it is. You can use plain, you can use self-rising, whatever. And I like to add a little flaxseed, and this is ground flaxseed. And the flaxseed makes it really crispy and it keeps it kind of moist. We're just going to season it with salt and pepper and onion powder, that's to taste, and we're frying it in grapeseed oil. And you don't need a whole lot of grapeseed oil because you do have fat in your meat. You just coat the bottom of your pan with the grapeseed oil. Your pan's going to look, about like that. I don't have much in it at all. I just have the bottom coated real well. And to make this, all you're going to do is cut your ground round or ground sirloin, whichever one you wanted. You would not want to use anything with any more fat in it than ground round. This is about 1.25 pounds, and I like to make these about 1/4 pound each, and I'm just going to kind of cut it in strips. I've got a piece of wax paper here that I'm going to mash these out between. Because if you've watched my other videos, you know I'm not real fond of playing with raw meat. Okay, we've got our meat cut up, and we're just going to fold the wax paper over and mash this out really thin, but you do want to kind of hold it together. That's all there is to it. And then we're going to season it with some salt and pepper. Just sprinkle on however much you like. And a little onion powder. Okay, let's move this over out of the way. We want to get our pan on the stove and get this oil preheating. You want to put this in a really hot pan. So I'm going to turn it kind of medium high until it gets hot, and then I'm going to turn it down to medium, maybe even a little lower. Just watch it as you're cooking it so you don't burn it. Take your flour and your flaxseed, and you just kind of mix them together on a plate. Lift your meat off of your wax paper and just put it on your plate with your breading. And you want a fork or something to kind of cover this really well. You can use your hands, I guess, if you want. And you will have to use your hands a little bit. Kind of move it around and get it out of the way so we can do the next piece. If it tears like that one did when you're putting it in your bread, you can just take your fork and kind of mash it back together. It's not a big deal. This oil is starting to look like it's hot enough, and you can test it by sprinkling a little bit of your breading mixture in it, and you can see how it's sizzling, so it's definitely hot enough. Very carefully, because oil can always pop. Just start placing your breaded pieces of meat in it. And we're going to let that fry until it's brown. Then we'll flip it over. And we may flip it over more than once, but we want to make sure it gets really good and brown on both sides. I'm going to finish breading this so I can get this wax paper here out of my way. Anytime you're handling raw meat, you do want to make sure that you wash your hands really well. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that down now because that's way too high to cook this. It'll get burned on the outside before it gets done on the inside. And I'm turning it down to just a little bit below medium. As this is cooking, you do want to take your fork and kind of loosen it. At least I have to in my pans. If yours are better, maybe you won't have to. But you don't want it to stick. If it sticks, it's going to peel all your breading off, and you'll lose that crispy crust. I'm also, while this is cooking, I'm going to make us some green beans and mashed potatoes and corn to go with it, because it's just not a meal by itself. As your meat starts to cook and it reduces a little, you can certainly add another piece because you don't want to be in the kitchen cooking all night long. Okay, this has been cooking about 10 minutes, and it's ready to flip over these first pieces that we put in. This is going to cook pretty fast because you mashed it out thin, and it is a ground meat. And ground meats cook faster than a solid cut of meat would. See how pretty and brown that is? That's what you want. Okay, this has been cooking about 10 minutes on the other side, and it's done and crispy, and I'm having an awful time keeping it from sticking tonight. But I'm going to put this on a little rack and put it in the oven to keep it warm while I finish cooking it. Okay, you do want to wash your hands literally every time you pick up a piece and put it in a pan, because you're touching other stuff in your kitchen and you will contaminate like your salt and pepper shaker or the cooked food that we already took out of the pan. And let me clarify that. I'm not putting this in the oven to finish cooking it. I'm putting it in the oven to keep it warm while I finish cooking the rest of my meat. I'm going to wash my hands again, and then I'm going to stick that in to keep it warm. Okay, our meat's all done now, so I'm going to take the last two pieces out and put it on this pan that I have in the oven and put this back in the oven because we still have to make our gravy. Now I've got about twice as much grease in here as I need, maybe more. I do not like gravy with a lot of grease in it, so I'm going to get rid of some of this grease. Okay, that's what I've got left. Maybe a couple of tablespoons, that's all you need, and you want to leave all that kind of burn looking brown stuff in there because it's full of flavor. Now for the gravy, we're just going to use some of this flour that we had left that we used to bread our meat in. And we're going to add the flour until we soak up all the grease that's left. And there's no grease left at all. And that looks like about enough. That was probably a quarter of a cup. And we're done with that flour now. Make sure you throw that away. You don't want to save it for anything else because it did have raw meat in it. You want to mix this around and get all the stuff out of the bottom of your pan. And I'm going to add some salt and pepper to this. And this is to taste. It's however much you like. I did use plain flour today, so I'm probably going to need a little more salt than what I normally use because self-rising flour has salt in it already, and that's something to keep in mind when you're making this. If you use self-rising flour, kind of watch the salt when you're making your gravy. And I'm also going to put some more onion powder in here, and again, this is to taste however much you like, but the onion powder will really add a lot of flavor to the gravy and to the meat when you serve it. Okay, and now I have 2 cups of cold milk. I'm not sure how much of this we're going to use. Probably all of it. As you add your milk, you want to stir around your roux and kind of dissolve it in the cold milk. And you have to get it dissolved in the milk while it's cold. If you don't, your gravy will be lumpy. So you kind of got to work fast here. Alright, you just want to keep stirring your gravy until it starts to boil and it gets thick. See, the only chunks we have left in here now are the little chunks of stuff that was in the pan before we added the flour. We have all the roux whipped up good. Okay, you can see this is getting pretty thick and it's still not actually boiling, so I'm going to add a little bit more of my milk. Now you can add milk after you start cooking gravy, but you cannot add more flour. Once your gravy gets hot, if you try to put flour in it, it will make huge lumps and it will not even be edible. It'll be really slimy. It's just not good at all. But if it starts to get too thick too fast, you can certainly add more milk. If it's not getting thick enough, all you have to do is keep cooking it. And as you cook it, the liquid will evaporate and your gravy will get thicker. But you don't want to get it real thick because it thickens as it cools. That's why I added the milk. Mine was getting too thick and it wasn't even boiling yet. Okay, that's about as long as I'm going to cook this. You'll start to feel some resistance as you drag your whisk through your gravy, and that's what you want. because it will get thicker fast. Yep, that's pretty good. I'm going to turn the heat off and move this off the heat. Don't want to have to slice it and put it on top of my country fried steak. I want to be able to pour it on there. Okay, now we can pull our warm meat out of the oven. And let's fix us a plate and eat some dinner. Thanks for joining us again in the Hillbilly Kitchen. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And I hope you enjoy your country fried steak as much as Mama did. And if you drip a little gravy on your shirt while you're eating it, don't worry about it, because she always did too.